So for anyone that listens to the show via a podcast provider, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, Podcast Addict, whatever, I'm going to ask the listeners, this is a request for me, even though we don't allow them on the show. If you listen to the show and you don't mind, listen to it on the Spreaker site or download the Spreaker app. Because what I found out this week, it's a new program for Spreaker, is we'll get 10% more ad revenue when you use their app or website. So if you feel like downloading the app and supporting the show a little bit, you don't have to do anything except listen to it on a different provider. That would help the show because they're going to pay us a little bit more if you use their app.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all right? Is that okay to say?
It's absolutely okay to say. It's
okay,
great.
okay.
I can actually see us like two big fat Italian guys like knocking on the listener door. Hey, you gonna download that app? It's like we need to give us our 10%. You know. All right, I'm gonna just ask. I'm gonna go. Since there's tons of emails, I'm gonna read all the Punk emails. There's 6 of them, and then we're gonna talk about it. Okay. But we're not going to comment on these emails as I'm reading them. We're just going to get them all out of the way, and then we're going to talk about Punk. Dwayne London, subject, CM Punk fired. With CM Punk fired now, do you think the ratings will go down enough for Tony Khan will realize Punk was right and that he needs him? By the way, I believe Punk was wrong for what he did, but in his defense, if some young Punk tries to show you up at a pay-per-view show for no reason, but to show the boys in the back that you were because you were showing up the biggest star in the company, how would you feel about it? D.I. and Konnan. Oh, this guy's suspended, Dwayne London. He spells Konnan, Konane, Konnan. What would you have done if you were in Punk's shoes? Okay. All right, we're going to get to that. Next one is from Irony Mendoza. Subject is Punks versus Bucks and Perry and Tequila Enzo. Hi, guys. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Enjoyed the wrestling shows. One and only Irony Mendoza here. Oh, that's a suspension, too, by the way. Bro, from now on, we're not having you guys, like, putting yourselves over in the intros here. Trying to get yourselves over. Like announce yourself, the one and only Irony Mendoza here. All right.
Remember, keep that in mind, JJ Claxton, because you always have a big intro for yourself.
My questions for Disco, but anyone can chime in. Now that CM Punk is finally fired, is it a good look for the Young Bucks and Jack Perry to finally help push him out? The Bucks have seemingly been doing victory laps while their best buddies in the worksheets straight up lie. My question for Konnan is, how did you come up with the Tequila Sunrise finisher? It was one of my favorites of all time. And also, we see Enzo Amore in AAA. Best show on TV. Just want to post scientific proof done during a legit study showing that while the Braves used to be America's team, the reason you suspended me for calling the O's America's team now is valid. The one and only Irony Mendoza, he's going to get a week suspension for the mailbag. For posting misinformation, by the way, too. Next one is from, but we're going to go back to that because this is a question for Konnan there. That's the Tequila Sunrise. Subject is favorite Booker, Dwayne London again, 2 emails. Another suspension. 2 weeks.
Wow.
Salutation, you all, before I get to my... You're breaking up, Konnan.
Yeah, you got to get closer.
You got to get closer. When you leave the room, there's a 50% chance you break up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yep.
Shouldn't Joe get some of that heat for letting those 2 letters through?
Well,
I'm
there's
just
no
giving the
addicted
guy.
to blade references.
I'm giving the guy enough rope to hang himself. That's all.
Yeah, if we don't read
I
them,
just want to get heat on you. I don't care about none of that.
Joe, I'm not going to rely on Joe to do the suspensions. He just sends the emails we suspend. Right. Salutation to you all. Before I get to my question, let me give you all flowers. Coney, you're breaking up. You're too far away.
I said I tried to bury Joe.
Okay.
Disco saved you again.
I'm sure you'll have more opportunities.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
I'm surprised you didn't really get as much as me. And you saw the text exchange between me and Coney. He was ready to go off on you yesterday, Joe. By the way.
Yeah,
because he went off on me. He went off on me for being sarcastic, which was funny. Disco, I got you my top 10 most underrated gimmicks in wrestling history. You're number 7 over Jeff Jarrett because I think he sucks as a wrestler, but he made money. Well, that's misinformation. Let's do 3 weeks for Dwayne London, right? Konnan, you're in my top 5 best Mexican Latino wrestlers of all time. You're number 4. Corsetti is 1, Reyes 2, Psychosis 3, and you are over Hoovy. Now my question is, who in your guys' career you say book you the best to get over, and would you think the person could fix the mess that Tony Khan has made? I hope so, because a lot of people will be out of a job soon. P.S. I don't get why people are burying that dude Billy. He's not from this country and pretty much doesn't get how to make really good content. He put that in capital letters. So.
It sounds like anti-British sentiment there.
Next one's from Sean Taherna, Punk firing. What's up, K100 crew? Sean here from Chicago. By now, I'm sure you heard that TK fired Punk with cause for the incident at Wembley. Duh. My question is, based on what we've heard about what went down at Brawl Out last year, shouldn't the Elite been terminated for starting that brawl? Just another bad example of TK's poor managing skills with talent, letting something fester and get worse by not addressing the situation from last year. Thanks and sorry for the long email, and thanks Konnan Disco for all the years of entertaining me during my adolescence in AEW or WCW, excuse me. Two more here. Easton Axe Wound, subject who's better. Some of the discover the show through YouTube. I really love the debates that who's better videos of cause in the comment section. So I got some for you three guys. Who's better? Oh, this is not a Punk.
Yeah, it's not a Punk. Yeah.
Right, but there was one more here. Was Punk rightfully fired from King Dre? Good day, gents. I'm emailing the day after Tony Khan announced Punk's firing. Tony's now claiming that he feared for his safety, security, and life, but allowed Punk to wrestle, win, and stay in the building for an hour after the altercation. Do you guys think the Punk was rightfully fired? Thanks for reading and answering my questions. All right, so let's get to the big news of the week. As Punk's been great for business. I mean,
everybody, every podcast,
every podcast. And it's funny when this happened, you know, fans chiming in with no clue and the Mark podcasters. Like, there's so many terrible takes, you know. But I want to make a point that to me this is very interesting. Okay, and this shows you, like from the get go when Tony Khan bought AEW and made the three EVP or three guys, four people with no experience running the company. Okay, Tony Khan running it. 3 EVPs, no experience, or Cody, and Cody's gone now, right? But we said they would make some mistakes because they're rookies doing this, right? And obviously they made some mistakes. The main mistake Tony has made, okay, is that if you bark out for the boys too much, bro, there are people in this business that are cutthroat and out for themselves, and they will look at that. What's the word I want to use here? Vulnerability, okay, and pounce on it, okay, which Punk did with Tony Khan, and you know, and Tony really didn't. I mean, I'm not going to say Tony deserved it, but Tony is a nice guy and treats the talent. It seems like he treats the talent well, and they like him, and like he's like a money mark, but he's well liked by he takes care of his crew. But when you're a money mark and you're kind of marking out for guys, like remember when he came dressed like Orange Cassidy? And like, you know, they heard like he's doing the CM Punk chants and the go, bro, you can't. That's a vulnerability that you show that the cutthroats in this business will exploit. Okay, which Punk did here. Okay, because Punk is out. Punk proved that he is out for himself and self alone. Because this is the most hypocritical, arrogant part of this whole situation that nobody has ever that nobody's talked about. I'm going to talk about it right now. So Punk, at the scrum last year at All In, went completely into business for himself. And
can I just say this real quick? Can I just say extra credit for eating donuts or whatever the he was eating while he was insulting everybody? Right. Yeah.
So he went into business for himself, publicly insulted like the talent there. Took a shot at Adam Page, took a shot at the Yumba directly, took a shot at them. And what happened? They got upset, and they went and confronted the guy that publicly humiliated them, right?
Right.
And what did he
Which
do?
80% of wrestlers would have probably done in our era, right?
And he threw the first punch. That's it. I guess that's the stuff. But that's pretty much it. He threw the first punch. So here he is, going into business for himself, cutting promos on people, maybe expecting that they're going to approach him. They come up on him, and he throws the first punch and starts an altercation.
Right.
He's literally in the exact opposite role now. Jack Perry, publicly on television, goes into business for himself, calls out Punk. Punk literally does exactly what the Elite did to him when he called them out, approaches him, asks if he's got a problem, and then in this situation, he throws the first punch. Bro, this is a guy that was in that locker room looking for trouble, starting trouble, whether he was on the receive, if he was starting it, antagonizing guys to come and approach him and get, to take a start a fight. And on the other end, a guy was calling him out. Oh, who's going to call me? I'm approaching him to start trouble. Bro, the guy's a troublemaker. in every role, like in the giving and the receiving. He's played both parts here. It's like you can't have a guy like that in the locker room, and he polarized the locker room. There was too much conversation about the guy, and bro, when you go into business for yourself and it's all about you, and that's been the criticisms, bro. All the clips of like people like Triple H saying everything's always been about you, and John Moxley saying, hey, Punk is catch Punk while you can. He's not going to be there this long. Fragile mind, fragile ego, fragile body. So bro, everything about him, all the criticisms were true, and he reassured all of the criticisms about him. And I think the guy came in here with this maybe a chip on his shoulder from having his career, his legacy tarnished by his UFC run. And I just think maybe he came in here as like I'm a tough guy now, and I'm and his chip on his shoulder, and he's starting fights, physical altercations. Come on, it's like the guy had to go. He's not. I don't care if they were doing over $1 million a week. It's still not worth it. For what he did in that locker room. And what do you think, Konnan? Did he even hear
what
me?
I don't understand.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is here was a guy making, a lot of money. Probably had, all the perks that you get as a star, his own dressing room, brings in his friends like his trainer, Ace Colt or whatever his name is, Ace Steel.
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking of Colt Cabana probably had something to do with Colt Cabana not being on the show since they had heat, all the perks of being a star, probably first class, air service. You pick who you want to wrestle with. You do what you want. Why would you f that up, bro? Like he had everything. Why would you f that up?
Well, one thing that
Kevin Nash says he's got he probably
does.
He's got mental health problems.
Well, because here's the thing, we knew that he had problems when he was, but you know what you're getting. It's almost like, I remember one time that Tony was mad at me and he compared me to another wrestler. He was like, yeah, well, so-and-so wouldn't say that about me on his podcast. And I was like, well, I'm not so-and-so, and I'm also not trying to get a job with you. That guy is. And so, like, if you bring me in somewhere, I'm known as being opinionated and probably combative if you me. Like, that's a known fact. That's what you're going to get from me. Same thing with CM Punk. We knew he was difficult in ROH. We knew he was difficult in WWE. You knew what you were getting, but at the same time, I thought he handled this worse than, I know he's in a room with a lot of immature people. He's 40 something now, and he's been in the business probably over 20 years, and he's been up and down the roads, and he's paid his dues. And you're getting these kids that are coming in here. They haven't paid no dues. They feel entitled. They want to take shortcuts, because I had a veteran that never, ever complains about anything from AEW telling me it's incredible. These kids, they don't know how good they have it. They walk around here entitled. That's a huge problem. I got to deal with it in AAA, and nobody wants to work for anything. They want everything yesterday. And it's just a whole different mindset from this generation. But, he was around a lot of immature people. But he himself did not handle it maturely. He should have been the adult in the room, and he acted more of a kid than they did. He should have set the example, not try to be a tough guy and challenge everybody to a fight. That's divisive. You're trying to unite people. You're trying to unite a dressing room with a lot of young kids that need leadership, and they need somebody to look up to, bro, and you weren't that person. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even need to preface it with this, because it seems when you talk about, it's almost like when Tony Khan was going, oh yeah, I love Sonny Kiss. I love Sonny Kiss. Great work. I love Sonny. Almost like he has to apologize for firing him. Bro, people get cut in football, soccer, everywhere. Thank you. We may see each other in the future. You know what I'm saying? But as far as Punk is, I think he handled everything wrong. And it's his fault too. It's also Tony's fault for not reining him in sooner, for not having him sit down. And before he signed these NBA type contracts that the Young Bucks were talking about, he said, I'm going to get you paid for the next 3 to 5 years. Your friends and family can still work here, because I think their wives work in some capacity in AEW or the Wrestling Pro T-shirts. You would know about that, Beanie. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And they got their boy Brandon Cutler there with them, and get all that, but we're going to sit down and we're going to do business. But it seemed that wasn't even done.
No, they got, bro. Let me tell you something. This is the funniest thing. The only business that got on TV out of all these issues that these guys have that we all knew about, but they never would put it on the air. The only thing that got on TV
Was the Hangman.
No, was Jack Perry at the pay-per-view saying, "Hey, Real Glass, cry me a river." That's it. Like that line referencing, like, that's the only thing that got on TV, and Tony on TV publicly saying I had to fire CM Punk.
Now, bro, this reminds me a lot of this. Let me tell you this, but just to show you how the heat is. The heat is so much in the dressing room for people that have never been in the dressing room that now they're taking it out on TV. And I'll give you an example. I remember one time when Nash went up there and he was really mad at Sullivan, and he was like, "Yeah, this was live TV, bro." And he was like, "Yeah, and Kevin Sullivan was the booker, mind you. And he was like, "Yeah, Kevin Sullivan, you can't get on the rides at Disney World because you need to be this tall, And bro, I remember being in the room with Kevin Nash that night, and he was banging on the door. "Yeah, brother. And he was, oh man, he's off. Because I'm not even going to answer the door. Because who knows if the guy had something in his hand. Like, remember when Arn Anderson and Sid Vicious got into it, that he just opened the door and stabbed him? Right. And, Kevin, he has his pride and he's a tough, and so I remember the time him and Hogan had legitimate heat and they were going back and forth on each other. He goes, "Why are you wearing your girlfriend's sunglasses?"
Why are you checking sunglasses?
Right. Why are you wearing your wife's sunglasses? Why are you checking me out so closely in the showers? Right. Remember?
Yeah.
And I remember one that I did with Nash when he was like, "Why?" Because Nash, Hogan showed up and he had these girls with him and he had some champagne. And he goes, "Why you got that cheap ass champagne? Why don't you got some Dom Perignon? And you have to hire girls to be with you." Like, they were shooting, they were going back and forth shooting, and that's what we see in AEW.
Well, let me go one step further, okay, bro. Look at the heat that Eric and Bischoff had that Flair had with each other.
They did. They got into a fight at WWE. Yeah.
It was literally on the here in Atlanta when he was in WCW, bro. It was in the newspaper. They had legit heat with each other, and they decided, well, let's make some money out of this. And the Bischoff Flair thing on TV was huge business, because it got in the news, people knew it was real, and they made a gimmick out of it because they in the end, because this was the problem with this, right? As you had the soiled. It's like it's a dirty situation, and the workplace has been soiled with the backstage drama. The only thing, the way to get a good feeling out of it and to get some accomplishment out of it is to put the drama on television and draw numbers and make money. Then everybody's kind of satisfied and happy afterwards. It's like, then that's the way you do this in this business. Tony just did not know how to do this because he's never had to deal with this before. And I don't know. I don't even know, for future reference, it seems like all the drama that they have, that they're just going to like try to sweep it under the rug. When I'm like, dude, you're in second place to the WWE. You literally have blown 2 opportunities to take a chance to improve, to get more fan interaction, to get like the casual fans that would be interested in the real backstage stuff. And now it's on TV. Like, hey, I'm going to watch it. So this is good.
Right. That's what changed WWE around Vince and Brett. And Brett. That changed the whole. Yeah.
It changed everything. Bro, you're blowing up. If you're going to have drama there, as a company, it's like, okay, we have
take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it. They did not
take
advantage
bro, because it's. I'll give you an example. This isn't the little things that I read. I usually go like on social media once a day for like 15 minutes tops, right?
Right.
But it seemed to me that the CM Punk thing, Disco, can you hear me?
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, he's still there.
I'm listening to a few feet away.
Overshadowed All In, and that's not a good thing.
No.
Okay, so it's almost like when you have a football player on your team, Disco, and you can relate to this. Antonio Brown. Nobody can get business done because everybody's asking the coach about Antonio Brown. Right. Bro, we got a football game. Fuck Antonio Brown. You know, no, but what about Antonio Brown? And that's the same thing with CM Punk. All those guys that went over there, they're overshadowed by his controversy once again. You know what I'm saying? And I can't believe that Tony, who's supposed to be or is a student of the game and saw all these matches and, you know, went to all these matches personally, was not reading the Observer and not seeing the type of that was going on with the clique in WWE and in WW and WCW that was going on with Hogan and Flair and Nash and Hall and all that. He didn't read and learn from that. He didn't know what was about to happen. Come on.
Well, one part of it that we didn't discuss yet.
And I'll give you an example, Joe. Let me just say this because I'll forget. I'm sorry. Just hold your thought.
Yep.
So I had a person come into AAA, and this person had a really bad reputation in the promotion they were in before. And I told him, look, I heard this, and this will not happen here. I'm not really going to put up with it. So you got to make up your mind. This is how we work here. And if you're down to work, we'll have no problems. But if you pull any of that, we are going to have a problem. And I've had no problems with this person. But I told them from the very beginning. They already know. Plus, everybody knows that, you know, how I am. So at the end of the day, you know, he should have told them, hey, look, this is how I run the company. This is what I expect from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question before we get to Joe. Konnan, from a personal reflection standpoint, and like looking at yourself in the mirror, do you think you've been more difficult to work with when you were a talent or as a booker?
Both.
Well, which one more than the other, though? Just from like, if you could, like,
I think maybe as a booker.
As a booker, interesting.
Yeah. Because when I was talent, especially when my first 10 years in Mexico, I was one of the biggest draws here. So I had no problems. You know, I did whatever the fuck I wanted. And if you tried to put me over, you were just yourself over, because I was a draw. I wasn't just a star. I was a draw. You know what I'm saying? And there is a huge difference. So I didn't have as many problems when I got into booking. You know, all the egos of the wrestlers, stupid from the TV networks, stupid from your own company, you know. Yeah.
Interesting. Joe, what were you?
Yeah, the thing I was going to bring up was that we didn't really talk about was, so Punk was fired, and they say fired with cause. And I guess a lot of people will go, oh, because he got into a second fight. But it seems like the biggest aspect of that was the fact that Tony Khan came out and said that he was in fear for his safety and even for his life.
But that, bro, he was just reading. That was illegal. Like, I don't think Tony
but hang on.
Those were not words out of his mouth. That was a legal statement that he was reading verbatim.
Of course. But this is what Meltzer said on it, too. Because initially he reported Punk lunged at Tony. And now Dave's been on shows saying, I kind of watered that down. It was a lot worse than the word lunge.
He was grabbed.
Yeah, so Punk grabbed him. Okay, so there you go. So physical assault of your boss, that's probably going to do it.
That's stupid, bro. But he was probably so mad. Well, imagine Joe had to go into the locker room knowing Joe, okay, when he loses his temper, it's on and crack. And he must have been like, hey, we're in London, 80,000 people, and you're going to pull this, you know, get the fuck out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.